Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of GIANT's Healthy Innovators Live TV. My name is Barry Shrier, and I'm your host. These episodes are brought to you by GIANT Health, which is a global community of nearly 200,000 people around the world. Everybody whose business is healthcare, technology, and innovation. We have a special episode this week looking at digital therapeutics, and I'm very, very excited to introduce you to Prayat Shah. Hello, Prayat. How are you today?
Hi, I'm very good. Thank you. How are you, Barry?
Yeah, doing really well. Thank you. Very excited to hear about what you guys are doing and to learn more about digital therapeutics and some of the exciting opportunities. Just before we begin, we want to thank our sponsors. Thank you very much to Vodafone Business. Thanks to Barclays Bank International. And also thank you to our knowledge partner, McKinsey & Co. We love working with our sponsors. They provide valuable support and enable us to have these extremely high quality interviews and discussions with some of the world's leaders in healthcare, technology, and innovation. So thanks again to our sponsors. Also, obviously, thank you to our many tens of thousands of viewers from around the world. If anybody is new to looking at these episodes, don't forget to like this episode and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Our goal is to support the entire international community of everybody working in healthcare and tech and innovation. So we invite you to subscribe to these to help us grow the community and to serve everybody more successfully. Lastly, don't forget to go to our website, www.giant.health. We have our big international event coming up on the 30th of November, 1st of December. That's in London, England. So we invite all of our listeners to consider buying a ticket, coming to the event, and joining us to celebrate all of these exciting advances and opportunities in healthcare and innovation. So again, Priyat, good to see you. Tell us, please, a little bit about yourself. What's your role? And tell us a little bit about your business. Love to hear more about that.
Thanks, Barry. Hey, my name is Prayat. I'm one of the founders at Healthy Therapeutics. We're essentially a platform for developing regulated digital medicine and digital therapeutic products
Excellent.
that solve specific problems in essentially the care continuum for various chronic diseases, thereby improving health outcome for individuals suffering from various chronic conditions. Today, we operate in a few different domains. We started in type 2 diabetes, but we've now expanded into cardiology, women's health, and the respiratory domain as well.
Okay, excellent. The company is Wealthy Therapeutics, is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. Whereabouts are you guys based?
We are based in Mumbai in India, but it's as you can imagine, today hybrid work is the norm. So we have people based in 5 different countries all over the world.
Oh, excellent. Oh, fabulous. And how long has the business been going for?
So we're 5 years old as an organization,
Right.
and so we were founded in towards the end of 2015. So it'll actually be 6 years by the end of this year.
Brilliant. So young as a business, but very old in the world of digital therapeutics.
That's true. That's true. Digital therapeutics is an evolving domain.
So I think a lot of our listeners from around the world would love to take a little step back, just briefly. If you could define what digital therapeutics is, and another word or a phrase that comes up often is software as a medical device, SAMD. So what is digital therapeutics? What is software as a medical device? Are these the same thing? And tell us a little bit more about those and about the products or the services that you guys are actually offering.
All right. A very good question, Barry. Thank you for that. I think that's because there are overlaps and there are exclusive sort of domains as well where each of these operate in.
Right.
The way most of the industry is now looking at digital therapeutics is digital therapeutics are digital products that provide specific treatments for either specific chronic conditions or certain elements of those disorders or those diseases that
Right.
lead to an improvement in health and that lead to an improvement in outcome.
Okay.
Digital therapeutic products are typically products that have a substantial body of evidence that enable them to either make claims, outcome claims, or medical claims around specific interventions that are being delivered through the platform or through the
Right.
digital medium in question. Some digital therapeutic products are regulated as software as a medical device. So, software as a medical device is really more a regulatory classification. A product that any digital health product that would fall under a regulatory ambit as recommended by either the European CE or the US FDA.
Right.
For example, under the CE domain, under the CE framework, depending on the intended use, a product may fall under a class one, a class two, class 2A, or a 2B, or a class 3 medical device. Those would all be categorized as software as a medical device. A digital therapeutic may be one of those, or a digital therapeutic may also be may not fall under a regulatory ambit.
So a digital therapeutic could be SAMD, software as a medical device, but not all digital therapeutics are
Most
necessarily, for example, CE or FDA approved software as medical device items.
Right, most are. So there are some digital therapeutic products that
Right.
have plenty of clinical evidence, who have done, say, randomized controlled trials, but are currently being are not regulated under the FDA or the CE. And but they still choose to create that body of evidence, and then eventually most of them still choose to be prescription digital therapeutics, which would then sort of be prescribed by an HCP to their patient.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Well, that's very helpful. Thanks for the explanation there. I think our listeners would value that. So this is quite a new world in healthcare, where we are not necessarily saying, "Hello, patient, you have a medical condition. Take this pill, and this will cure or address your medical condition." We're doing this with software and with, for example, applications in CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, and so forth. What are examples of what you guys are doing in this world?
A couple of things here. So we're operating in as I said, in diabetes, in cardiology, in respiratory and women's health, and each of them have different sort of different applications.
Right.
So essentially, the way we operate is that every product of ours is targeted at influencing what we call a meaningful aspect of health, which would lead to an improvement in an individual's overall health and the management of their condition,
Right.
and then lead to an improvement in their outcome over a period of time. So, a simple example of this, I could give you two examples. For example, in the diabetes space,
Sure.
where self-management of diabetes, management of lifestyle through a combination of cognitive behavioral therapy, as you already called out, and behavior modification and behavior change, would lead to an improved outcome. And a second example within diabetes is specifically for individuals who have been prescribed an insulin product, being able to titrate the dosage of that insulin in real time based on the health parameters of that individual, then leading to a more optimal insulin dosage depending on the need of that individual on a day-to-day basis.
Nice.
Again, leading to a better health outcome. So they are just two examples within the same therapeutic area, same indication.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. And what kind of results are you guys seeing? How do you actually say, look, this is a successful application and it's working?
So we have about 25 studies, both real world studies and trials that we publish now with global medical forums and journals.
Wow.
A mix of abstract presentations, full text studies as well.
Yeah.
We're running a clinical trial on our platform in a specific rare disease indication in Europe as we speak right now. We're running another randomized control trial, a two-arm trial in South Asia for type 2 diabetes as well on our platform. And we're also running a real-world evidence study in Southeast Asia, in Singapore specifically, around multiple cardiology indications as well. Again, using our platform. So evidence is really at the core of our business, because and we feel that that's what really sort of is it's a mandatory sort of qualification criteria when it comes to being
Exactly.
able to build that confidence as well.
Yeah, yeah, brilliant. I think that's extremely important, and I also think it needs emphasis on an ongoing basis because our observations are that there's a lot of confusion in the marketplace between apps you download from the internet and put them on your phone. Is that a wellness app? Is it a medical app? Is there evidence behind it? Is this proper digital therapeutics, or is it something outside of the realm of evidence-based therapies and so forth? So really important to make those distinctions and to, I think, define that and to champion that as clearly as possible. So if you don't mind, Prayat, tell us a little bit about the commercial issues and the commercialization of these products. So historically, for example, regarding therapies, you have the mainstream, if you will, aspects of medicine, which is the prescribing of drugs. And I think the business models with the research, the development, the testing, the trials, the production, the distribution, the selling of drugs is quite a well established, if you will, ecosystem around the world. But we're in new territory now, aren't we, with digital solutions? And what are some of the commercial challenges or commercial scenarios for digital solutions here?
Great question. I think broadly there are three or four main ways in which a digital therapeutic product or a digital product of this sort would sort of look to go to market or commercialize or that
Okay.
obviously. One would be direct to consumer, and
Yes.
be and launch direct and work directly with the end consumer. The second would be by partnering with the likes of private payers, employers, self-insured employers as well, on in sort of a value-based contracting framework.
Yep.
Where there's a direct cost saving for the employer or the private payer.
Right.
And the third would be going down the reimbursement route, which is how typically a device or a drug would sort of take itself to market. And then going down the device route, and then being prescribed by HCPs to patients and then reimbursed.
Hmm.
What we're seeing is that the third route, which is going down the reimbursement route,
Right.
is gradually sort of gaining traction and is gradually sort of picking up. There
Yeah.
are, as you can imagine, with any new technology that's being introduced into sort of mainstream health system sort of pathways. There are some challenges related to, for example, ACP adoption, clear reimbursement pathways, the body of evidence and data that's needed to
Yep.
convince a payer to sort of reimburse as well. But that's sort of picking up speed gradually. The second pathway, which is the employer slash self-insured value-based framework, is something that we've seen scale fairly well. And
Okay.
we've seen that, and you have examples of organizations like Livongo and Omara that have, especially in the US, have sort of used that channel to great effect, and have been able to scale their businesses as well.
Yes.
And then direct to consumer, I think it's not something that we do. It's not one of our core strategies, but
Hmm.
it has been used as well in pockets. But that is a slightly different strategy in terms of go to market the way the marketing budgets that would be attached to it, the marketing effort that would be attached to it as well.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's very, very interesting. What strikes me as fascinating is that there might be quite a profound evolution happening in business models regarding the delivery of therapies. So, would you agree that traditionally you have reimbursement as a core financial foundation for the funding of many therapies if they are being prescribed? Uh, However, you're talking about partnerships with like businesses or other opportunities which take us away from the, if you will, classical or the traditional reimbursement model. And do you feel like this is a big, what do you want to call it, change or potential change? And 10 years from now, 20 years from now, are we going to see that maybe the orthodoxy of reimbursement from, for example, central healthcare authorities based on traditional structures is going to be eroding, and we'll have more of a, what do you want to call it, mixed, more of a mixed ecosystem here in terms of how therapies are actually funded?
Yeah. Uh, uh, my initial answer, Barry, would be yes and no. I do believe, and I'm sorry for being
That's
diplomatic, but
okay. No, we can take both answers.
no. So I do believe that both sides of the equation are true, in the sense that there are more traditional models of going to market, because just by virtue of being a digital product that unlock, right. So whether it is direct to consumer framework, or it is partnering with other third parties like
Right.
employers,
Yeah.
like say a telehealth company or a telemedicine company, to then sort of work in a value based framework. Uh, but and consumers, especially driven by the pandemic, are now much more sort of, let's say, open to using different forms of
Sure.
technology for healthcare.
Yes.
And that on one side will sort of, is already, we're seeing a lot of demand for access to treatments that use a smartphone as a base platform, and then
Yep.
deliver the treatment in that way. But at the same time, on the other side, there seems to be an inflection point in health systems, both national health systems in specific geographies that are now giving us clear cut reimbursement pathways
Yes.
for products that have a body of clinical evidence behind them. And examples would be the DIGA in Germany, or the NICE in the UK, where there are gradually much more structured reimbursement pathways. And over a period of time, we're also seeing, or at least I believe, that doctor behavior is gradually changing to be a little bit more accepting of technology. Again, pushed along in no small part due to the pandemic as well.
Yeah.
But confidence in the evidence that's presented to the HCPs is increasing. Confidence in the fact that the product will actually work is also increasing. Integration into existing care pathways and technology that HCPs are already using. So, for example, integration into a medical record or a health record system
Right.
is really, it comes up as a major barrier for adoption, because you don't want someone to, or you don't want an already overburdened healthcare professional to now start integrating new workflows into their sort of day-to-day behavior. So as all of this is sort of coming in, I do see that side of the equation, 10 years, 15 years down the line, also changing gradually. So that's why, it was a yes and no for me, because all of them seem to be moving in a positive direction.
Well, that's very, very interesting. Uh, The theme that you mentioned earlier about barriers, I think, is an important challenge that obviously everybody is facing. So let's say we have a digital therapeutic product or service. Let's say it's been through regulatory approval. Reimbursement is clear. It's ready to go. And so surely every clinician nationwide will start prescribing it. Is that how it's working?
Well, I wish it were that easy, but it's it isn't that straightforward or that simple. So
Right?
there are multiple sort of barriers to this, or if I can call it, I wouldn't call it barriers, but it's more hurdles that will gradually be overcome over
Right.
a period of time. So
Right.
a couple of them I have already sort of called out.
Yes.
But it's impossible to sort of not call out interoperability and integration into existing workflows, into existing care pathways. That's really something that's a huge issue, or that's a huge barrier. At the same time, the uh, healthcare professionals need to also have confidence in the technology itself,
Yes.
and that's not as easy as it would sound, because yes, a technology may present itself with evidence, but the a healthcare professional doesn't actually know how it works, right? Because it's not part of what they have studied or what they have sort of seen. So
Yep.
uh, there may be questions around, oh, what if there's a glitch? Who will solve it? What if there is a will the technology have bugs? Will it have issues? Because all technology at some point does face bugs, glitches.
Of course.
The
Yeah.
Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp was down last week for quite a few of the world's population. So
Yes.
what will happen if that happens is a question that comes up in the mind of HCPs. And then also very very sort of more long term things that is the can a is a digital formulary being set up in that particular geography, or are digital products being included in formularies?
Hmm.
Are digital therapeutics and digital medicine being included in, say, standard of care or treatment protocols that are sort of being utilized by healthcare professionals when they take decisions about what should be prescribed to patients?
Yes.
And these obviously will take a little bit of time to sort of come, and these will take a little bit of time to sort of get there. But gradually, that's where some of these hurdles or barriers will
Yeah.
sort of be
Yeah.
overcome. And
Yeah.
then there are very simple tactical things as well, that unlike a pharmaceutical company or a large medical devices company, a lot of these digital therapeutic products have been developed by startups or young companies.
Sure.
So very often startups don't have the marketing capital, the sales capital to even reach out to even a significant percentage of healthcare professionals in a particular country or a particular geography. So how do you match that, and how do you find innovative ways at keeping awareness levels up, continuously providing new evidence and data on the product as well, are all hurdles that are gradually sort of being overcome.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's extremely interesting. I think that startups situation and where startups reside in an ecosystem is, of course, an enormous challenge, and it's not unique in healthcare, but it's compounded by the complexities of healthcare and the regulatory issues in healthcare and the complicated web of providers, like you said, the healthcare providers and the type of system they're working in, the type of reimbursement that exists in there, the level of regulatory approval and oversight that's required, and whether or not there's a connection directly to patients. No, very interesting to hear about that. I think the startups are obviously often at the coalface of innovation, but they themselves have these hurdles, like you said, or barriers, which are big challenges for them. Um, We were talking as well, Prayat, about gaps and whether or not, for example, in traditional provision of diagnosis by clinicians and the provision of traditional therapies like drugs, for example, uh, does that leave gaps within the overall situation for a patient, or the ability to help the patient? And are those gaps something which relate specifically to opportunities for digital therapeutics?
Yes, very much so. And these gaps could be, either it is a gap in the care continuum. So it could be something as simple as a patient following a care plan or a care protocol that's been prescribed to them.
Yes.
It could be something slightly more complex as a biomarker or an aspect of health that is actually not treatable by a device or a drug.
Okay.
So an example could be quality of life, especially in
Sure.
life-threatening conditions and more complex chronic conditions. Or it could even be, it's certain disorders or certain
Mhm.
diseases where their alternative devices or drugs just don't exist or are underserved. Such as in a lot of mental health problems where there aren't necessarily too many traditional treatments out there that are available.
Yeah.
So all three of these would sort of would sort of contribute gaps in care, if I could call it that, can be solved, and that would lead to an improvement in outcome for the patient.
Excellent. Yeah, no, that's very, very interesting. So it's not merely replacing drugs, for example, or um, serving where drugs have no role, but there's a complementary opportunity which could make a big difference and add a lot of add a lot of benefits to patient care and improved health outcomes.
Yes, absolutely. And these use cases sort of go into monitoring and managing, say, side effects of a drug,
Nice.
making sure that patients are being monitored
Yes.
through a remote monitoring and a up triaging or an escalation framework, especially when they're on treatments that again may have side effects linked to it, or a life-threatening condition where they may need constant monitoring as well. So absolutely, digital therapeutics are not meant to be necessarily replacements. In a lot of instances, they're meant to be just filling gaps in care that lead to an improvement in outcome.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. No, that's fascinating. And your explanations are extremely clear and informative. So thank you for sharing.
Thanks, man.
Another thing I think our listeners would love to hear about, of course, is just you personally and your journey. So love to hear a little bit about your background and how did you get to where you are now?
So I come from a healthcare background through and through. So I actually come from a family of doctors. I was probably one of the few in my family who didn't end up becoming a doctor. But I've been a healthcare consultant with various management consulting firms all my life. I've spent a lot of time working with various healthcare stakeholders, health
Nice.
systems, pharma companies, med devices companies, payers, on various sort of problem statements, and through a combination of sort of looking at that plus seeing at a personal level, looking at the problems that HCPs really face in managing patients, especially in the chronic diseases domain.
Sure.
I wo- we I saw a gap, and I felt that there was a technology could fill that gap. And that was when about 6 years back I met with my co-founder Abhishek, and we and at that time digital therapeutics was more a buzzword, and we've sort of the spirit that we always had was that because both of us sort of came from healthcare, our spirit was always that if we develop a product, it must improve outcome. And
Of
if it does
course.
improve outcome, we need to be able to prove it. And we need to sort of, and that would mean published studies, that would mean trials, whatever it takes to sort of prove it to the
Yes.
healthcare community. And
Yes.
then this just happened to sort of then, over a period of time, become a category or a subcategory in itself in digital therapeutics. So
Nice.
it's been an interesting journey, and I think there's still a long way to go.
Yes. Excellent. Well, obviously, congratulations on what you guys have accomplished. What's the phrase? Overnight success comes after 20 years of very hard work. And so,
True.
so we love what you guys are doing. What are your plans for the future? Like, say, for example, 5 years from now, where do you see the business, and how do you feel that DTX is going to evolve within the bigger, if you will, ecosystem of healthcare?
So, I, DTX products are in multiple different. There are now digital therapeutics products in multiple chronic conditions and different domains.
Yes.
So, from diabetes to mental health to oncology and respiratory and other domains as well.
Yes.
Our goal is really to you know build more build products and enhance our product suite in the domains that we're in, build more evidence, and then obviously have as much adoption as possible of our products. And as I said earlier as well, I do believe that the overall industry trend is moving in that direction. We're seeing a lot of positive regulatory, let's say, murmurs towards creating approval pathways, creating reimbursement pathways,
Nice.
and that's and we're looking forward to more of the same.
Excellent. No, I'm glad to hear that. It's a very positive story, but it's also, I think, quite accurate. And we see a lot of incredibly important advances in healthcare tech around the world relating to DTX. And very glad to be talking to you about this subject and to be learning a lot more about it. Look, we've unfortunately run out of time. I wish we could talk about this for another hour. It's so interesting, and I've certainly learned a lot, and you've shared some valuable insights and helped to clarify a lot of things in my mind, and I'm sure on behalf of our listeners as well. So in summary, is there anything you'd like to add or anything else you want to talk about? Any upcoming announcements from Wealthy Therapeutics or anything else you'd like to add?
No, thanks for having me on, Barry, and I enjoyed the chat myself.
Excellent.
And yeah, as I said, hope we're able to catch up in London soon.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, very keen to keep in touch with you. Maybe what we could do is we could schedule another episode like this, perhaps sometime in the new year to hear about how things are progressing with Wealthy Therapeutics and additional developments in your exciting and very impressive business.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Good stuff. Hey, well, look at Priya, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time. This has been extremely interesting and informative. So thank you. Obviously, on behalf of everybody at Giant Health, we wish you good luck and very keen to keep following you. And if there's anything we can do to help and to champion you, we'd love to do so.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Barry.
Okay, thank you. And once again, to all of our listeners around the world, this has been this week's episode of Healthy Innovators Live TV, sponsored by Giant Health. Giant is a community of nearly 200,000 people around the world, everybody whose business is healthcare, technology, and innovation. We invite all of you to like this episode here on YouTube and to subscribe to our channel. That allows us to grow the community and to serve everybody with more valuable content and insights. We also invite everybody to go to the website, www.giant.health. And we have obviously our big annual event coming up, the Giant Health event, which is on the 30th of November and 1st of December in London, England. So please go to the website. You can participate in their annual event in real life, face-to-face, buy a ticket, come and see us in England, or you can participate entirely virtually. The entire event will be broadcast live, so anybody from around the world can join us remotely. Once again, my name's Barry Shrier. Thank you to Prayat Shah. This has been this week's episode of Healthy Innovators TV. We hope everyone's enjoyed it and look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you. Good stuff. Hey,